Welcome back to Hustle and Heart. I'm your host, Vanessa, and today we're talking about that moment when inspiration hits and, more importantly, what happens next. You know that feeling you're in the middle of something completely ordinary, maybe cooking dinner or stuck in traffic, when suddenly you get a thought and everything clicks. But here's what I've pondered on and I've wondered is, why do some of these moments lead to real change while others just fade away? Last month, I was talking with a friend who runs a small design studio, and she was sharing with me how she was scrolling one day and she came across another designer's process video, and she immediately felt like this crazy rush of recognition, right? And it wasn't because the work was similar to hers, but because something about their approach to client communication completely shifted her perspective. And she shared with me, she goes, Ness, I really wasn't just admiring their portfolio. I was seeing a version of what I'd been trying to articulate in my own business for years. That's what I don't think we talk about enough. And that's what I want to tap into. How inspiration often shows up as recognition first. It's not about wanting to be someone else. It's about recognizing a piece of yourself in someone else's expression. And I'm about to take a little detour right now, a little sidebar. Last year, I was introduced to human design, and I've become quietly obsessed with it, so you'll often hear me reference something called human design. And basically, it's a framework for understanding your natural energy and decision-making style. And it's quite powerful. Think of it as your personal user manual. Some of us are designed to initiate, others to respond. And knowing this can make a huge difference in how we navigate these moments of inspiration, even relationships, career, and business decisions. For my human design folks listening, especially my fellow generators, this is where things get interesting. And I'm going to nerd out for a little bit, so I hope you don't mind me and stick with me. We're designed to respond to what energizes us. But let's be real. Let's be real about what that actually means in practice. It's not just about following every spark of excitement. It's about noticing which sparks keep showing up, even when we try to ignore them and push them out of our minds. The ones we talk ourselves out of, even when we tell ourselves that we're too busy, too inexperienced, or too whatever to pursue them. I see this pattern, especially with my 3-5 profile listeners. You're literally designed to learn through experience, but that doesn't make the jumping in part any less scary. Here's what I want to get practical. Instead of giving you generic advice about following your dreams, I want to talk about what actually happens in those first few weeks after inspiration hits. 3 things I've learned from both failing and succeeding at this. First, documentation beats motivation. When you feel that spark, write it down. Not just what inspired you, but what specifically resonated. Was it their teaching style, their way of breaking down complex ideas, their approach to community building? Whatever it is, get specific. Second, start with observation, not imitation. Before you jump into action, spend a week noticing how this thing you're inspired by shows up in your current work. Remember my designer friend from earlier? She realized she was already good at client communication. She just hadn't been intentional about it. Third, choose your first action based on what you already know, not what you think you should know. Your entry point doesn't have to look like everyone else's. So what's your next move? What's that one thing you're walking away with today that you can put into motion? Send me a DM on Instagram and let's talk about it. I love hearing how these episodes impact you. Because here's one thing, insight without action, it's just a wish. But when you take even the smallest step forward, that's when real transformation begins. Someone once told me, commitment is staying true to what you said you would do long after the mood you said it in has left you. That's what makes the difference between a fleeting spark and real transformation. The inspiration gets you started, but it's the commitment that creates change. Those moments of recognition, they're not random. They're breadcrumbs leading you back to yourself. The question is, will you follow them, even when the initial excitement fades? If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend who needs a little nudge to take their own inspired action. Let's build this movement together, one aha moment at a time. Until next week, keep building, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep showing up, especially on the days when that first spark feels far away. I hope today's episode sparked something in you, whether it was a fresh perspective, a bold idea, or that unmistakable aha moment where inspiration meets action. This is Vanessa Betance, signing off. Keep building, keep believing, and keep showing up for your dreams, mi gente. Till next time, ciao.